Hello and welcome to YHTV. I'm Christina Suzama, your host of this program, Flowing into Awareness, with our lovely visionary and master intuitive, Anatara. This is episode 5. Today, Anatara will be speaking on, Is Your Switch Turned On? Hello, Anatara.
Hello, Christina.
Welcome from Australia, I do believe this time.
That's exactly where I am right now.
You're becoming quite the world traveler, aren't you?
I'm following the sun and the warm waters.
Oh, how luscious, how luscious. What is the weather like in Australia right now?
Well, I'm in northern New South Wales in the Byron Bay area, and it has been in the high, well, I'll use Celsius. It's been in the high 20s, 27, 28, up to 30 and 33.
That's hot.
Humid.
That's almost 100.
It's getting close some days. It's hot. It's humid. The evenings are cooler. The winds come through and we have lovely little bits of rain. And I'm really a heat and sun. I'm happy when I'm in the heat and I'm happy when I'm in the sun. So for me, it's really quite perfect. And I hear that at home in British Columbia, things are cold and damp and dark and I'm quite content here.
I'm sure. Well, from Sedona, the dry heat, to now this moist, high humidity atmosphere, that must be quite something, quite an adjustment. Oh, no, actually, you were in Hawaii in between.
I had a transitionary location
right.
as I traveled here. It's been quite a lovely experience, quite a lovely journey, and something I'm just very pleased and very blessed to have been able to do.
Well, welcome back to the show for a little moment here.
Okay.
Before you pick up and move to the next one. So, Anatara, to speak to us about the energies and everything that's moving these days. It's been quite the whirl. I mean, it's been a whirlwind for all of 2012, and of course, very heightened at the end of the year. Would you be able to speak a little bit about that for our audience?
I would like to, thanks. I was in Hawaii for the transitionary times of December 2012, and I was during those, sort of very fluid days of great change. I was swimming with the dolphins every day and being present with a group of individuals who were also available to feel the essence of literally the changing energetics of this planet and of galaxies here and beyond. And what I felt during those times and what I have understood about it is that there has been a very dramatic and dynamic and supportive and loving activation of we can use all kinds of terms, activation of the energy grids of the planet, activation of the energy grids within us as individuals, activation of how we feel and see and know each other as human individuals and other. As I've mentioned before, when you spend time with the dolphins and the whales, there is a kind of pod awareness that occurs. And this pod awareness is really a settling into, as one expands, of an understanding and awareness of all people and all things really being one. And what that really means is that, and I've said it before, there is no separation between you and another, between your needs and the needs of another. There is no separation between one's individual goals and the goals of the greater pod, the greater consciousness. So we still have individual things that we work on and do, and we have an understanding and a concept of what the world needs or what others need with regard to who and what we are. So as I say activation, what I mean is that there have been channels opened that allow us access to a clarity of love and a clarity of connectedness that we were finding it hard to notice and to find in the past. And I see that as this has happened, that many different things have been stimulated. and stimulated, especially individually. And I want to talk about us as individuals now, how we function in our daily lives, in our work, in our life streams with each other. And so many people are feeling a huge intensity, and an intensity to throw off certain things that aren't working, and an intensity to sort of bring in the things that they feel might work. And what I want to say to everyone is that the intensity is okay. This intensity is not something for us to ignore or step away from. The intensity is natural given the full-on activation of the Earth's grid systems, the planet's grid systems beyond the Earth, sort of the atmosphere around the planet, and that of the galaxies and beyond. So how could we be functioning partners in all of that if we weren't feeling some sort of stimulation, some sort of stimuli saying, get going, do something, change something? And what I'm noticing when I work with my clients these days is that they either want to engage full on with something, for instance, family, partner, work, or they really want to make a change. They want to throw it out the back door and say, I don't like this anymore. I need to do something different. And what I'm finding is that there's a confusion there. The confusion being what's right and what's wrong, what's okay for me to choose and what is not okay for me to choose. And what I am sensing and feeling for almost everyone is that it's okay just to feel. It's okay to notice what you're feeling and sensing, and it's okay to then start to accumulate some sort of inner resonance and some sort of inner information that can help you decide what to do, in quotations. What do you want to do? What do you need to do? And I guess what I'm really saying is don't ignore any of this intensity. Allow it, celebrate it, rejuvenate yourself with it, and then continue as you see fit. This hasn't been given to us willy-nilly. It's not just by chance that we happen to be human beings on this earth, allowing these new energies to flow and to happen. This is planned, and we're here to avail ourselves of the opportunity of that stimulation, of that stimuli, and to move forward with it. So in the title of this, this discussion that we're having, I said, is your switch turned on? Well, what switch? What do I mean? Well, do you feel the stimulation? Do you feel the new activity? Do you feel the new possibilities? Is your switch, have you been turned on in a way that allows you to be ready for looking for something new? Are you turned on in a way that is allowing you to be available, to listen, to see, to feel what might be available for you? And or is your switch turned on so that you say, finally, I've needed to make a personal change for many, many long, long years, and now I'm ready to do it? So briefly, let's look at what it feels like when your switch is turned on. I've mentioned it a little bit, but what does it really feel like? What does it look like? You may feel anticipation. You may feel excitement. You may have butterflies in your stomach, even though you're doing something that you've always done, something that's usually quite normal for you. Or you may feel frightened. You may feel reticent to look at something that's really knocking on the door and saying, pay attention. I want you to turn this switch on. So there are all sorts of ways that this can flow to you. And the most important thing is to see what is flowing to you. What is happening for you? Do you feel stimulation? Have you felt that something is new? Do you have a way to sort of excite, your joy, to excite your images? Or do you have a way to let whatever feels heavy and oppressive shift and change into something manageable and maneuverable? All ways to deal with this switch. But the call, I feel, the real call is to see and wonder whether you've been turned on or not. I believe that it's almost impossible not to feel some of that right now, no matter what you're doing, no matter how busy you are, no matter how tired you are, no matter how sick you may be. What in that whole scenario, or in the events around those scenarios, has been ignited? Where are you being ignited? What is stimulating you? Just have a look around and see and feel. Where does it take you? What does it want? What's it calling from you, calling out of you? And I think that as you look, as we all look, we will notice some of those places that we haven't been paying attention to, and some of those places that have been incredibly dormant for maybe even our whole lives, because the activation of the earth and all of those energies hadn't happened yet.
Well, that's lovely, Anatara. Now, through this, and you speak of awareness, and you speak of the heightened sense of whatever the sense might be. Now, there is quite a lot of transition going on still at this time. And there are many people who are, of course, involved with a loved one or someone who might have made a transition. I mean, have been so many. I think people, I hear this a lot from many people. It's like, wow, this person's dying, that person's dying. Loved ones are just like falling off the face of the earth. And so what is your insight on that in the means of, when you say, has your switch been turned on? For me, personally, my take is, well, that is one of the switches because that is a different sense, that we're moving through. And, it is about a certain strength and compassion and building of those levels within us as individuals. But, for people, it's very difficult when they're going through this time. For some, it might be sadness. For some, might be fear, big fear, because, we're not immortal, and suddenly that's sort of right in front of them. And it's for some, it would be like, well, that's not a very positive switch, is it?
You describe it extremely well, Christina. The trying to find an understanding. I'm not even going to say a balance, but trying to find an understanding between life being present as we see it and life being removed from us, and the existence of a soul or a being that we've known in another form or in another state. And you are so accurate when you say that so many people are leaving. So many people are transitioning into a state of non-physical life. People that we rely on, people that we know, people that we love, people that we feel we can't exist without. And this is part of the stimulation. This is part of the switch activation, as you mentioned, that is part of everything that's going on for us right now. I know so many people who have lost very, very dear ones, and I know many people who are having lots of new life come into their lives. I myself just had a new grandson. There's another one coming in 3 to 4 weeks. It's a time of shift. It's a time of cycles, and those cycles are no different than they've ever been before. And I believe that we can be more aware now of what those cycles can be for us and can teach us. So that, as you explain fear, oh, absolutely. And how can one think about facing new life and new existence and new forms of it without the stability of someone who's always been there for them? So, and I also see that in these transitions, many people are finding a way not to be stuck in the sadness for long, that they can move through the sadness and move out of it into a place of reverberating life more easily than they might have before. And if you look for where your switch has been ignited in appreciating the flow of physical life into other forms of existence and awareness, then the sadness isn't as it's not as oppressive. I was talking to someone yesterday, and we had just heard about someone who died, and we were not with this person, and another friend said, well, I'll go over and commiserate with that person later. And another friend said, well, I'm not going to commiserate because I'm not miserable.
That's wonderful.
I feel an opening in this transition for everyone. So even the words we use, commiserate, we don't have to be miserable about a death of our own or a death of someone we know. We can be present for what that individual needs and use that as a stepping stone into the vaster awareness, the vaster consciousness.
Mm.
So everything that happens now is an acceleration of being able, literally, our being able to be aware in a more harmonious and a bigger and a more lively way than we have before.
Mm-hmm. Lovely, Anatara. Thank you so much. You really articulated it so well, and I hope that people find some relief and awareness from exactly what you've helped us understand. So
it's also important to know that you're not always going to find that relief, and that maybe if you are feeling miserable, it's okay for a little while.
mm-hmm.
Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel badly about it. Let what's happening for you happen, and look within the emotions and the scenario that's going on for you to find out what switch has been turned on.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And some losses are through sickness, some are through accidents, and it was very interesting. I was told of someone losing their parent the other day in a freak accident, they would call it. You know, is one of those that had machinery, etc. And I said, "Oh, blessed be." Is like, well, that I don't think that person knew what hit them, quite honestly. Yeah. And if I had the choice between that for a loved one as opposed to sick and bedridden in a hospital, I would choose that any day, you know, because they wouldn't have had to gone through a strenuous journey, to say, you know. But it is a shock to those who are still around.
Definitely, and to the person who departed, who transitioned, liberating.
Yes,
quite liberating.
yes, absolutely. So yes, it's a very interesting time. We do love this kind of time, don't we? It gives us much to speak about. Oh, thank you so much, Anatara, for this moment of awareness. We do appreciate this, and we appreciate you in the beautiful Australian weather over there.
I wanted to add one thing, just to finish this up, to sum this up, and through as you were speaking, and that is that sometimes the switches, and this is what you and I've just been talking about. Sometimes the switches feel intense in a way we don't want to acknowledge. And it doesn't make the switch any less vital, any less important, any less valuable, or any less lovable.
Well, lovable. That's one that could be part of the journey that people. That's a huge step to embrace what is in front of them, no matter how much it may be uncomfortable, so to say.
And let's look at some of these discomforts as liberation, and opportunity for a little bit of freedom, and because they point out what needs to be freed as well.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Anatara. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us and supporting us in this new platform of education and information. We are grateful for your continuous support and look forward to hearing on how we can support you better. We're excited to announce that you can now access this show through iTunes. And also, you can access Magical Medical Tour as well as parts of the first beginning episodes of Trinity of Life as well. And we would be so grateful if you could just take a moment to support us one step further by taking a moment to rate our show in iTunes. That would be very helpful to us. We invite you to join us every Tuesday live for Magical Medical Tour at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 Eastern Time. And Wednesdays for Trinity of Life at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, followed every other week by this wonderful show, Flowing into Awareness with Anatara. And just to let you know, Anatara has been offering intuitive readings, which she calls angel listenings, and spiritual counsel for over 25 years to clients throughout the U.S., Canada, and Europe. You can also be in touch with Anatara at myyogahub.com/Anatara or through Twitter at Anatara. And of course, through her own site, anatara.ca. Until next time, namaste.